This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Kann du Norsk?
If you've had that sound from Babbel before, I bet you do. Babbel is the science-backed language learning app that actually works. With quick 10-minute lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts, Babbel gets you on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. With over 16 million subscriptions sold and a 20-day money-back guarantee, just start speaking another language with Babbel. Right now, up to 55% off your Babbel subscription at babbel.com/Spotify podcast. Spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify podcast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
I hope our next guest, contributor here at WABC, hosts 3 to 4 in the afternoons, and then at night, 12 to 1, a special bonus hour, Sunday night, 11 to 1. Dominic Carter doesn't try to do karaoke and sing Elvis Presley songs. Please promise us you won't do that, Dominic.
Good morning, Curtis. Good morning, Mr. Katsimatidis. Merry Christmas on this Christmas Eve to everyone. I won't sing, Curtis. I'll just do this one thing.
Merry Christmas, Dominic.
Thank you.
And I've seen you dancing on Instagram.
Hey, Mr. Katz, Curtis, I'm not allowed to sing on WABC, so I'll just say this. For we need a little Christmas right this very minute. Candles in the window. I don't know the rest of the words, but that's my singing for today, Curtis. That's it.
I got to say, Dominic Carter was a PAL kid.
Yes.
And he was at the Christmas party, holiday party for the PAL kids a couple weeks ago. And he did a phenomenal job. And you know what our mission is, Dominic? I grew up in Harlem like you did. And our mission is to try to save as many of those kids as we can.
Yes.
Okay, well, Dominic, let's get down to the number one story.
You're interrupting saving our kids, Curtis.
Let me just say this.
Don't you have a heart?
Mr. Katsimatidis, I have to be straight with you. The day of the Christmas party, that was a very, very tough morning for me. When I got up to shower early, knowing that you and your wife were going to be there and your daughter, all three of you show up every year and you're more excited than the kids are, right? In Harlem at 10 a.m., 9 a.m. in the morning. And it was emotional because to think that 50 years ago, I was one of those kids, a PAL kid, literally, out of the Bronx, and my grandmother's no longer alive, my grandmother and aunt that raised me. And, we're going through a very tough time as a city, as a country. I listened to Bill O'Reilly with you guys. Bill O'Reilly is the real deal. He knows what he's talking about. And he's right. I know, Curtis, we're going to get to a couple of things. Right now, it just seems like we don't have leadership, I'm sorry, at City Hall.
No leadership. No leadership at all right now. I just feel bad for our city, our state, our country. It was no leadership in the country.
Right.
No leadership. I mean,
correct, Mr. Katsimatidis. And what does President Biden do on his way out the door? Commuting these sentences of these death row inmates and child molesters. That's what you do on your way out the door. It's ridiculous. And I'm going to say what very few hosts will actually say, because it's true. This DEI, particularly in the city of New York, this is why I'm so strongly against it. I understand Mayor Adams wanted to promote as many blacks and Latinos as possible. But what we're seeing is the bad effects of DEI at the top ranks of the police department. And that's why I said, let's give Jessica Tisch an opportunity, because I got a funny feeling she's going to do good things. Number one, she's got to get rid of all those DEI hires. You had literally gangsters in the top ranks, I won't name them right now, of the NYPD. And I'm sorry, guys, they were making the entire black community look awful. Leadership of the NYPD.
Tariq Shepard, that's what you're talking
that's
about.
Who I'm talking about.
Who should never have been in charge of public information He's a thug.
Straight up thug.
And why he's still in the police department is beyond me. But let's talk about Kathy Hochul. She had a press conference, signs behind her, 42% decrease in subway crime. People are like, are you kidding, lady? On the very same day of that horrific attack that will never, ever, never escape our thought process again of this woman being torched. We still don't know this woman. Please do not believe reports that it was a white student, a PhD student from Pennsylvania. That's bogus. That's artificial intelligence. We don't know the victim yet. We know who the predator is, an illegal alien. And Dominic Carter, this just solidifies in the minds of New Yorkers that you can't go into the subway. It is so unsafe.
And that's the sad thing, Curtis. Nobody, and I mean nobody, knows the subway system is as good as you do. Every day when you and I are preparing for our respective shows, I'm watching you. You're on the phone with your guardian angels. You're getting updates about what's going on real time with the train system. It's horrible. And a point that Mr. Katsimatidis makes regularly on his show, 5 to 6, and the Sunday morning show, why, and it's common sense, why are we bending over backwards for a couple of criminals that are nonstop repeat offenders and the mentally ill at the expense of 8 million New Yorkers? Why are we doing this? But the progressives, where are they now, Curtis? Progressives for the migrants, they're silent. I don't hear them now. You know, they got what they want. You got migrants in America pimping Americans. Americans are starving. You know, let's call it what it is. This Christmas season, some Americans are starving, looking at foreclosure. We see the great work that Tunnel to Towers does, right, with veterans and so on. There's a need for them to do it because the government is not doing it, because we're busy giving all the money to these ungrateful migrants. And look at us now. What do we have to show for this except for women being raped, a woman going up in flames? And Curtis, you're right about the AI stuff. And I just want the public to understand, modern day, that's one of the difficulties that we have, in particular in talk radio. We have to be very, very careful with the facts because of AI. The picture was very, I didn't repost it or anything like that. It looked very, very real.
Oh, yeah.
The photo, but the same thing. Look at what's going on. That's what with President Trump, and frankly, he may be the last man. I don't mean to be dramatic, but the last one to save our country. And great things are coming January 20th, and with him and Tom Homan. I'm in love with Tom Homan. Don't start, Curtis. And I've never met the guy a day in my life. I'm in love with him because he's saying all the right things. This must stop. These criminal migrants must go, period. Full stop. The story doesn't continue. They've got to go.
Now, one thing I would add to that, because we now know a little bit about the background of this Guatemalan illegal who torched up that woman sleeping on that F train at 7:30 Sunday morning. Everybody's nodded out on a subway train. They can relate to that.
Right.
He was deported by the Trump administration because he had snuck in through the Arizona border. I do not believe that he was incarcerated. I think it was just catch and release. What we must do is, when you come in illegally, you get arrested, you get detained, you get prosecuted. If found guilty, you do jail time, because then eventually when ICE deports you to Guatemala, you tell everyone in Guatemala, man, they had me in jail for a year. You do not want to go over there and get caught. That has to be the case, because he just turned around and snuck right back, Dominic.
Agreed. There has to be a deterrent. And that's why I say nonstop, oh, Dominic, you sound cruel. When Trump separated the families, right? I don't know how you guys feel. I really feel it was a good thing. I mean, the progressives went nuts, right? Oh, you're separating the babies from the families and on and on and on. How do you stop this nonsense? I mean, what do you really want in our country? Where are the progressives now, Curtis? A woman lit on fire. And to your point, we're all New Yorkers. Who hasn't closed their eyes? You can't do it now, but who hasn't closed their eyes on the subway for 5 minutes shut eye? You can't do that now.
No.
You got to worry about the rats crawling up your leg. You got to worry about which nut is going to come into the car. And then look at the bad messages that we send. Look at what we did to Hero Marine Daniel Penny. And you don't think the rest of the world saw that and said, you know what? I don't want to be pennied. I'm not getting involved. I don't have $2 million for legal bills. I'm not going to risk my family to help save someone else. I'm going to just mind my business. That's the scenario that we have set up.
Dominic, we now know that what you just said, the Daniel Penny effect, actually paralyzed people who saw what had transpired. Cops walked right by. Nobody stopped the cops and said, there's a person on fire in there. They basically took the code of omerta. The guy was sitting right behind him. They had all seen him torture, get off the train, and they didn't tell the cops, this is the guy. You better grab him. Everyone, they pull out their cell phones. That's about all they do in film. They do not intervene. All you got to do, I remember when I was a kid at PS 114, Bildersee Junior High School, the fire marshals come in, they teach you, if anyone ever gets on fire, push him to the ground, roll him over and over. We were all taught that, especially if you're baby boomers. Nobody did anything, Dominic, because of the Daniel Penny effect. You're absolutely right. And
you're correct. And thank you for talking to the New York Post, Curtis, and putting it out there. For it is what it is. I will say that there are perhaps a little bit of circumstances that we have to take in mind, right? So we don't know if some type of liquid was used, alcohol or something. We don't know, right? So what I'm curious about, Curtis, so I know you would have jumped in action. I've seen you do it countless times. But if somebody tries to drop her and roll her, and then the liquid gets on them, and now you can't put it out on yourself. So I don't know exactly who was in the car when this happened. We do know, as you said, this nut that should have never have been in the country was sitting there watching it. And it makes my blood boil to think about the fact that this guy is not supposed to be here on taxpayer expense. And Trump was right. You know, nobody wants to, I'm a media, I'm a debate moderator, and Trump, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm the only one that knows what I'm talking about. All these pretty boys sitting up there moderating debates that don't know A from B or A to Z. And Trump was right when he said they're sending their worst here. And that's exactly what, and Trump said they were sending the mentally ill. Look at this guy, Curtis.
Yeah,
Why are we in this position?
He told the cops, I was drinking, which there were liquor bottles in that car, the subway car. We don't know the origin of them, but they obviously were his. I don't remember what happened. Yeah, he conveniently didn't remember what happened.
Of course not. Just like I don't speak English. That's another common line.
Dominic, last night at 5 o'clock show, me and Rita had Perez. He's the president of the Borders Union.
Yes.
And he spoke out. I said to him, who ordered you to allow criminals and drug addicts and killers into our country? And he says that, Secretary Mayorkas had us do it.
And when you think about it, Mr. Katsimatidis, clearly this comes from the top. This comes from the top.
But if Mayorkas testifies, he'll tell you I got the orders from my boss. So the bottom line that President Trump has to figure out who pressed the buttons at the White House. I don't think it was Joe Biden, but it might have been. But who pressed the buttons to allow drug addicts, drug pushers, killers, and criminals into our country to hurt the American citizens?
Agreed 1,000%. Let me just say this about your show, Mr. Katsimatidis. I listen to it, you and Rita Cosby. I listen to it every day because if you want to know what's going on locally and especially with the country and internationally, every single one of your guests, it's a fast-moving show where major newsmakers, also your Sunday show, come on. And I talk about this on the radio because the shows that you do are the real deal for people to know the newsmakers come to you. And that's a great thing. It's a bonus for all of us to find out what's going on. But, at 4 a.m. this morning, I was thinking about Mr. Catsimatidis, Curtis Lewa. And Curtis has been out there on the front line, right? And people love to attack him. But Curtis has been ringing the alarm bell for years. And nobody wants to listen. Now look at what's happening. And the reason why I thought about Curtis at 4 a.m., look at the hub in the Bronx. Mr. Catsimatidis, I was in the South Bronx, the Hunts Point area, just the other day. I had to have a mirror replaced. And I like to drive around the city sometimes and see what's going on, right? And look at the hub. You have addicts shooting up in full public view at a Dunkin' Donuts. A man had passed out. He's on the floor. And people are walking around him, ordering their breakfast and their donuts. You can't go to a McDonald's these days, because I call it the McDonald's tax, right? You have guys that stand in front of the door that will open the door for you when you come in and go out. And of course, they expect a tip. And generally, the ones I've encountered, they've been nice. But what happens with the ones that you don't give a tip? And then they get mad that they open the door for you. This is literally what's happening. I don't understand how you can call yourself the mayor of this city with these. I would have them arrested immediately. Yep. Okay, I can't win. Well, we'll work it out in federal court 9 months from now. I tell my entire legal team, stall, delay. We'll work it out in federal court. I may lose, but I'm going to lose 9 months from now. But right now, you're getting off my streets. The mayor was fond of saying, my street, my nightlife. Well, prove it.
That's what I said. If you disobey Speaker Hasty's orders about the bail law, what are they going to do to the mayor? Sue him?
Right, Mr. Catsimatidis.
Dominic Carter, now I think people understand, while you have been crowned by our listeners, many who call you 3 to 4 in the afternoon, and then again at night, 12 to 1, with the extra bonus hour Sunday nights, 11 to 1.
I listen to 12 to 1 every night.
They call him the Black Bob Grant. Because you're just like the king of talk radio, Bob Grant, except your complexion is different. Other than that, I was just sitting here quietly listening to you, and I said, the spirit of Bob Grant is in Dominic Carter. You were spot on all these issues, Dominic.
Well, thank you. And while we're looking at Christmas, and I know Mr. Catsimatidis is not fond of this, but I just want to state for the record that I'm very grateful to the Catsimatidis family, to Mr. Catsimatidis, to his wife, Margot, because the fact of the matter is they took a gamble on me. They brought me in. They met with me. They said, Dominic, stand still. We're going to take care of you. Hold on. And they have delivered plus on every single thing that they have promised me. And Curtis, I know you can back me up in terms of, I know Mr. Katz is here and he doesn't like these types of things, but the fact of the matter is the truth is the truth. And they are the real deal. And none of this is possible, Curtis, as you often say. WABC wouldn't be around if it wasn't for Margot and John Catsimatidis.
And they treat us all as family members.
And that's what they each said to me on day one. And when someone says that, you go, well, yeah, I don't know. I may have been screwed over in the past. I'm not sure. Every single thing that they have promised me, plus some, right? They have delivered on. So you say I'm the Black Bob Grant. I take that as a tremendous badge of honor, considering. But I'm only telling the truth. So Chief Madry, I swear to you, anybody that brought him into me for an interview, the staffer, I would fire the staffer because I would say, how dare you bring this creep in front of me? I'm sorry, guys. This is not his first rodeo with sexual harassment. And look at the embarrassment at the NYPD. Look at the embarrassment. You wanted all these black employees in top positions, and they've been undermining you every single day, making this look like a ghetto operation. I'm going to call it for what it is. And now look at the city of New York. And poor Jessica Tisch, you pass the bag to her, and she's got to clean up this mess. That's where we find ourselves.
Well, thank you for saying what needed to be said. You always do on your shows, Dominic Carter. So to you and yours, your wonderful family out in Pomona, out there in Rockland County, a very, very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
And same to you on the real, Curtis. You and I joke around a lot, but you know you're the man. I know you're the man. Everybody knows you're the man. And Mr. Catsimatidis, I can't thank you enough, you and your wife Margot, for what you've done for all of us. But in particular for me, keeping it real and delivering on every single thing plus some that you've promised. Thank you, sir.
Merry Christmas.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.